it is ultimately important for you to look at your goals, truly what you want to do in your life, and then look at the people who you spend the most time with in your life and figure out if that lines up.
Well, let me start over here because I just talked a lot and you guys couldn't hear anything. Can you hear me now? Let me know in the comments here. You got me now? All right. So you should be good now. All right. Perfect. All right. So this morning, guys, since you didn't hear anything that I was saying before, we're going to be talking about John Maxwell. Why John Maxwell is the leader of leaders. I mean, John Maxwell is probably the most well-known leadership person that there is on the planet. You know, he is the coach to many, many leaders worldwide. He is, without a doubt, a person that has changed my life. I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about him, the background of him, kind of where he came from, some of my favorite things that he has written. I'm going to share some of those with you. I'm going to give you a little bit of background on him. But without a doubt, John Maxwell is a guy that 100% sits atop Goat Mountain for me when it comes to mentorship. I like to tell people I think I got a PhD in John Maxwell, which, John Maxwell is just an amazing, amazing person. He has accomplished so much in his life. He is a Christian. He was a pastor before he became, kind of the public figure that he is today. A lot of people don't know that, but that is how he started in his leadership journey, is literally everything that he teaches is based on biblical principles. So let me dig into who is John Maxwell here. But first, I want to say good morning to some folks, since I think you guys all missed that. Tammy Clark, good morning to you. Jared Bird, Scott Risley, Scott Rhodes, Trudy, Dean, Rick, Bob, Jonathan, Steve, Carla. What's happening, guys? Thank you guys for hanging in there with me when we didn't have any sound rolling. Sharon Falk, good morning to you. Mark Farelli, good morning. Mr. Calloway, good morning. Alton, good morning to you. Rick, thank you guys for being here. So, who is John Maxwell? Well, he's a 74-year-old guy at this point. He has sold more than 20 million books. He has published over 90 books, as I could calculate from my research online, with the very first book that he published being published in 1979. 1979. That was the year I was born, guys. So almost 42 years ago, this guy started writing books, or published his first book. Maybe he wrote them before that, but he has sold more than 20 million books. So his life, to give you a little background, He received a bachelor's degree from Circleville Bible College in 1969, which is now called Ohio Christian University. So he is from the state of Ohio, just west of me here in Pennsylvania. And he went on and got his master's and then eventually got his doctor of ministry degree at Fuller Theological Seminary in Pasadena, California. So that's where he was a pastor in Southern California for many, many years. And I believe he retired or left that ministry out there in 1996, I believe, or 1995, somewhere in there. And so some of the things that really stand out for me about John Maxwell, why I think he is one of the greatest of all times, is that everything that he teaches is based on biblical principles. And so those principles, they're not just based in faith, but anybody who has studied biblical principles will know that, it makes things very straightforward and very easy to understand. And they work in every single aspect of your life. It's not something complicated. It's very simple to understand. And when you implement it, it's like guaranteed to work. And so as I started studying John Maxwell years and years and years ago, that was the thing that I admired the most, is that everything was so simple and so tactical and so easy to implement. And it's because it is traced back to the most simple to understand principles there are, and that is the principles that are in the Bible. So for me, why do I admire John Maxwell? Well, he is a man that carries himself the exact way that I would like to carry myself. He married his wife in 1969. He's got 2 children, has built a life that so many people admire. I can't imagine somebody not admiring the life that he has lived and created for himself. He has coached some of the greatest people that have ever walked the face of the earth. And so for me, that is something that I admire. He's had an impact on so many, from world leaders to incredible coaches in athletics and in business. Just the best of the best have all interacted and had time spent with John Maxwell. So many of them. I don't think that you would find too many leaders at a high level that haven't invested a lot of time into studying John Maxwell. And so for me, I look at a man and I say, what does he stand for? And a person that has been married since 1969, has built the life that he has, and has had the impact on the world that he has, I admire quite a bit. One of the stories that I've heard about John Maxwell is that as he was rising as a speaker, he became somebody that was really highly sought after in the space of corporations, right? The corporations wanted him to come speak to them. And so one of the things that John Maxwell requested as a speaker was the ability to announce at the end of his speech that he was going to talk about his faith. And he gave, anybody the opportunity that didn't want to stick around for that, the opportunity to leave. But he spoke about his faith, and he spoke about just how important Jesus was in his life, and, what kind of impact that had on him, and how he wanted that for so many other people. And so, I don't know this for a fact. This is just information that's been passed along to me. But my understanding is that through this process of John requesting this time at the end of these speeches that he delivered to so many corporations and companies and groups over the years, that he has led hundreds of thousands of people to Jesus, and to find their faith, and to find God, and to, just kind of reinvent their lives. And so, and be born again. And so that is something that I have great admiration for. And I have a deep, deep admiration and love for John Maxwell, for his work, and for the life that he created. And my favorite book when it comes to leadership, and I've taught many, many lessons on this book. I've broken down each of the laws kind of individually for many, many people, sometimes in a group setting, sometimes in a one-on-one setting. But I want to talk to you guys about the 21 Laws of Leadership this morning. And that is the book that I would recommend. If you guys don't own that book, 100% go pick it up today. It will change your life. And it doesn't matter what position that you're in. If you're in a leadership position or not, still you have a responsibility to lead others, right? Even if you're not in a titled leadership position, this book will have a massive impact on your life. And so I just want to go through 3 of the laws that I just picked out. Not to say that they're the most important or not, the others are not important. These are just 3 that I picked out of the first 7. And they are the law of the lid, the law of influence, and the law of solid ground. And so I'm going to go through these with you this morning and give you just a quick look into, one of the most important mentors in my life, John Maxwell. So the law of the lid, here's what the law of the lid says. It says that your level of effectiveness and accomplishments is determined by your level of leadership. So it means that leadership has a multiplier effect on success. By raising your abilities in leadership, you can absolutely increase your overall effectiveness many times over without increasing your success dedication. So leadership is the determining factor to how high your team can achieve, how high your own life can go. Success is determined by leadership, is essentially what the law of the lid means. And so your team will never outgrow your capabilities as a leader. You set the pace. The law of the lid confirms that. The second one is the law of influence, and this is one that I believe in significantly. The true measure of leadership is influence. Nothing more, nothing less. This is one that I talk about when it comes to, being evangelical about your cause, right? When you are within a company, you're the leader within a company. If you are not evangelical about your cause, you are not creating your own culture. You are not influencing your team. Someone else is going to take that position from you, right? And if you're not creating it, if you don't have the influence and somebody else does, they are the leader. So contrary to myths, leadership is not the same as management. It's not the same as entrepreneurship. It's not the same as having a title or a position. The proof of leadership is in the followers. It's in the influence. If people naturally follow you and you naturally have influence over the group that you are leading, then you are the leader. If someone else within your company or within that group has the most influence, it doesn't matter what your title is. The law of influence takes over and that person becomes the leader. So super, super important for you to recognize that based on, the organizations that you're part of and the groups that you are leading. And the last one is the law of solid ground. The law of solid ground says that trust is the foundation of leadership. Without trust, there can be no influence. Without influence, there can be no leadership. So trust is built when a leader consistently demonstrates competence, connection, and character. Now, a lot of people look at trust in a completely different way in today's world. They're going to say that trust is based on what they want to hear, right? It's not based on that. It's based on competence, connection, and character. A sound character is key to building long-term trust. People have to understand and be able to predict what's coming. That's the kind of leaders that they want to be around. And the reason is that it conveys consistency. It builds respect. When you make a mistake as a leader, everybody sees it, right? But if you've been consistent as a leader, your followers are generally prepared to forgive you as long as you are able to confess and apologize to regain their trust. The law of solid ground is extremely important when it comes to leadership. When there's a misalignment of solid ground, it affects the rest of your ability to lead. When people don't trust you, it almost becomes impossible to lead them. It's like trying to push a string. Trust is everything. So those are just 3 of the laws from Maxwell's 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. But that book alone would put John Maxwell on my list of the greatest of all time, right? Gets him a seat on top of Goat Mountain. He's a great man. If you go read about him, the people who he has influenced, the people that were mentors to him, will define to you exactly why John Maxwell is as great as he is. And so I encourage you, I just want to remind you guys something that I've been talking about the last couple of days is if you find a mentor that you really look up to, don't just go and study the mentor, but try to figure out where everything that they have learned and everything that they teach, where it has come from. So you want to start looking at the mentors and start to digest that content and that information. And eventually you'll start working your way up to, what actually influenced all of these people, kind of the downhill slide of information. What created them? What created their thoughts, their processes, what they believe? Many times it could be their parents. Many times it could be the Bible. Many times it could be an old school philosopher that somebody along the line read and studied, so that information trickled down. So I want you guys to do that. I want you to lean into this topic of mentors and these mentors that I'm giving you. If these are people, when I describe them, that seem to be interesting to you, seem like maybe they have some alignment with your values and where you want to go in your life, look into them. Just look into them and see. And as you start to study them, you're going to become more interested or less interested. If you become less interested, maybe they're not the person for you. Maybe you need to keep looking. But at some point, you're going to find mentors that you really admire. And as you do that, I encourage you to start to unwrap what they do, how they do it, what they stand for, all the different parts of their life. One of the things that you'll see in the mentors that I really admire is they all have a solid family foundation, right? They have great marriages. They have children. They have the things that I have existing in my life. And I think that's important for you to be able to identify with those mentors by being able to see your own life in theirs. And so John Maxwell is a great example of that. I'll share something with you guys that I haven't shared with many people to this point, but at some point in my life, I could see myself becoming a pastor. And so that is why John Maxwell is such an influence on me, is that I feel that same pull that John Maxwell felt, to help people, to be there and serve people and be a great influence over people and to help them through, some of the most challenging times in their life or guide them through the best times of their life. Right. And so John Maxwell has been an inspiration to me in many different ways, but that is definitely one of the things that makes me most interested in him is that he was first a pastor and then became the leader of leaders. And so for me, that is something that I aspire to be. I aspire to make an impact on many, many people in this world. And John Maxwell is the perfect example of how you do that. So that's all I got for today, guys. Sorry about the little snafu on the audio in the beginning. Hopefully that didn't screw things up too bad. You guys are all still here, so I appreciate that. I appreciate you hanging in there with me. I'm going to be doing some traveling tomorrow morning, so I'm not positive that I'll be here. I'll let you guys know this afternoon for sure, one way or the other. I don't have everything figured out there yet, but I'll let you know when I do. And I've got one more person that I want to cover with you guys. So whether it's tomorrow or the next day or some other day, but his name is John Wooden. And if you guys don't know who John Wooden is, I would encourage you to go Google him and start to figure that out, because he will also have a massive impact on your life and is one of the most incredible human beings that I've ever encountered in all of my studies and all of my research of people. So that's it for today, guys. Have a great day. Wishing you an awesome Wednesday, and I will see you guys hopefully tomorrow morning, same place, same time, right here on Morning Perspective. Love you guys. Thanks for being here.